My life. There we go. What is going on, everyone? And welcome to episode 277 of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, Serg Vicente, and it's Wednesday. And what does Wednesday mean? Wednesday, yes, I know it's Wu-Tang Wednesday. Yes, it's Hump Day. But it's also all things boxing. When it's all things boxing, I always bring on my brother from another, the guru, B Camm. Let's go ahead and bring the man on the show. B Camm, brother, what it do? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to be here. You always give me the best intros, man. I need to just walk around with you when I introduce myself to people.
Come on, man. I got to do you justice, man.
I can introduce myself, but I'll let my podcast host do it.
Hey, man, I got to let the motherfuckers know, man. Got to let the people know who the legend, the guru is, man. So, as always, brother, I always appreciate you coming on the show today. There's some stuff to talk about. There's some fun fights in boxing coming up. Obviously, this is an all boxing episode, but we got some MMA to have to touch on. We have to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, Serge lets me talk about MMA if I ask for it. And so I definitely took the time to spend my money on UFC 259 this weekend. So definitely want to make sure we touch on that because that was a big card, the type of card that boxing fans might meander over to the MMA side to make sure they watch.
It was a good one, man. Well, let me ask you this. Let's let everyone know, again, everyone who is watching live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, thank you so much for watching today, watching the greatest combat sports and culture show out there. On today's menu, we're going to go ahead and touch on UFC 259. We're also going to talk about Clarissa Shields. She had a big win this week. We have to touch on her. We're going to talk about this upcoming weekend. The legend, Chocolatito, is back. He has a big fight against Estrada. We're going to go ahead and talk about Killer McCaskill, Chi-Town, baby. Going on, getting a rematch on against Cecilia Brinkus, David Benavidez, Guru's Corner, and so much more in this episode, man. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. This weekend, UFC 259 happened. Jan Blachowicz ended up getting a win, hard-fought victory against Israel Adesanya, the middleweight champion. Brandon, I'm putting the floor to you, B. What's good? What are your thoughts on this? You have any thoughts? We got it. When you saw this matchup happen, I know we all believed, like you and I, we talked about this. We thought Adesanya was going to win. But in the performance, what was your thought about the performance?
I mean, look, you go to your girl, you ask her, hey, does size matter? She is going to tell you, yes, size matters. That's what Jan Blachowicz said. He said size matters, and it did on that day. Every time, to me, we'll talk about rounds 4 and 5 with the takedowns. Absolutely. But even throughout the fight, I got kind of, as an Izzy fan, I got a little bit scared. Every time Jan landed a jab, it just feel like if one of those jabs landed perfectly on the chin, it could spell trouble for Izzy because you could already see that size difference. The hands, you already know, Polish power. They are heavy. And so for him to be able to hold his own on his feet, and then be able to dominate the ground like he did in rounds 4 and 5. And, we're not talking about anything crazy, but just control enough to win the round. Yeah, I thought it was a great performance from the champ. Still a great showing from Izzy. I think it was a good opportunity for him to re-examine some holes in his game. Because he can always make the excuse that he moved up. The guy was bigger than him. However, those holes probably still exist in his game at 185.
Now he kind of listened to episode 276 of the Fight Podcast. We had to breaking that down, but we can talk about that in a minute if you'd like, because he does have some glaring holes that he does need to address.
Yeah, and obviously they spoke about it throughout the fight. Takedown defense on the cage, great, top tier. You get him in the middle of the cage, not so much. And so I think you said, what's the guy, Vettori? Whatever his name is?
Marvin Vettori, yep.
Marvin Vettori, who Izzy beat, but at some point in time during the fight, from what I've read, he was able to take down and control him in the same manner, just in the middle of the cage. So I think he gets a pass for this one. No one's going to say he didn't come prepared. No one's going to say anyone's better than him. He moved up a weight class, attempted to be great. He doesn't lose much off his face. Go back to the drawing board, come right back down to 185. And what's going to wait there for him?
Oh, you're asking? I mean, yeah. A weight class that he's already cleaned out. Okay. You know what I mean? I mean, he and everybody who's going to fight coming up next year are pretty much rematches at this point in time. I mean, the number one contender fight is Paulo Costa versus Robert Whittaker. That's pretty much the number one contender fight coming up.
What's the other guy that I like that won like 5 fights last year? Black guy.
Oh, you talking about Oh man, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Yeah, he's not there yet.
They say. He got his fight coming up soon. He's had such momentum, and the fact that you've already seen.
If he does win that fight, he'll be in the conversation, but he'll be still on deck. The winner of the Robert Whittaker fight and Paulo Costa will probably end up getting the next crack at the title. To be honest.
Well, not if Paulo Costa wins. Like if Paulo Costa wins,
true.
We'll have to have another conversation.
True.
Because why can't I remember his name? Fuck.
Dude, I am struggling too. I have no idea why. Like I see, I'm picturing his face, everything, and I am so sorry, bro. Like
is his name
I am
Kevin?
Totally Kevin Holland. Thank you, Kevin Holland.
Kevin Holland. Yeah. So I mean, if he wins,
dope. Kevin Holland's dope.
He's dope. Has a ton of momentum, and we haven't seen it before. Like
True.
if Paulo Costa wins, like, can you really sell that?
But here's the thing: Kevin Holland is, and you can look this up. Look this up for me if you don't mind. But I think he's top 6. He's 2 wins away. He needs to win 2 fights. That's where Kevin Holland is at this point in time. Okay,
let's see. They have him ranked number 10.
Dog, we're talking about the number 10 guy. You're talking about the number 10 guy. Like, he's at least 2 wins away, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, he has a fight against the number 7 guy.
Which means if he wins that fight, he gets to be number 7, and then he arguably gets to fight somebody in the top 5.
If he wins it in impressive fashion. I mean, I guess there's guys that you can match against Izzy. I'm just like, he has cleaned out that division, and what fight can you really sell if you're the UFC? Right. It would be easier to sell a guy who's been dominating for the last year and a half. Even though he's not right.
Bro, we're exactly like, why are we gonna break our toys? You know what I mean? Like, fair. Why would I sit here and rush this guy to get his ass destroyed by the fucking champion right now? He's not there.
Darren Till,
he has to win his fight. If Darren Till goes out there and beats Marvin Vettori, then yes, that's the fight you make.
Is that what you're expecting?
Fight. I think it's a good fight. I think fucking Marvin Vettori's a badass. I think he's tough. I think he's gotten better. He trains over here with at King's MMA. I mean, the dude is an absolute fucking monster.
And when's that fight?
Sometime next month, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Well, I mean, I think shout out to Izzy for attempting to be great. More big ups to Polish Power. Scorecards were wild. But,
dog,
I mean...
Oh, my God. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I had Izzy winning the fight. Izzy won round 1, 2, and 3. But here's the thing.
I thought that was aggressive.
Some of those...
I thought that was aggressive. I could see how you got there.
And that's totally fine. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking anybody because some of those middle rounds... But here's the thing. Go back and watch the fight, which I've done 3 times now. Adesanya dictates the pace of every round. He's the one dancing. He's the one leading the dance at every point in time. He's outstriking him. He's throwing first. Jan is waiting for him the entire time.
Yeah, I mean,
so when you're saying that, like, I don't know. That's. Asinine.
I mean, we're really just different on round 2. Like, I probably had Izzy winning round 1 and 3. I think round 2. I think the commentators were clearly biased. I think
they were calling a spade a spade.
I think Blachowicz did some good work on the feet, and the judges clearly thought the same thing. Now the judges were wild because they also gave him a 10-8 round in round 5. I thought that was pretty crazy. That was in no way, shape, or form a 10-8 round. Like, yeah, he was a slightly dominant at the very end. I'm talking last few seconds where he decided to go for some ground and pound.
Those weren't 10-8 rounds. You wouldn't even gotta get into it, bro. We know it. Like, those weren't 10-8 rounds, man. Like, there's no... Dana White said it. There was... He only had the entire fight 4 minutes of control time on the ground. In the entire fight. Yeah, there's no 10-8s there.
I agree. But, I mean, it is what it is. The other greatest women in MMA, or the other greatest women in combat sports, I'll say.
Do you really believe Clarissa Shields is that good? Do you think she's the GOAT? Do you really believe that?
Yeah, from what I've seen. I mean, I have no choice.
How can you be the GOAT when you only have 10 wins?
Well, she's a three division champion, and she's been.
But again, now we got to start pointing out. Also, let's go into it. Level of competition has to matter, right? It has to matter. She's fighting bums. She has 2 good wins on her resume. How you can't be considered that when we have other women in boxing history that have done work. Fucking Holly Holm has done more in her boxing career than Clarissa Shields, arguably. In terms of longevity, in terms of, multiple belts in defending her titles, Holly Holm has more in boxing accolades at this point in time. So it's again.
But you wouldn't argue that Holly Holm could beat Clarissa Shields just by the eye test.
I'm not in their prime. Maybe. Have you ever watched Holly Holm box in her prime?
A little bit.
No, you a bold-faced lie.
No, I have watched a little bit of Holly Holm.
Okay, well, look, arguably yes. And here's the thing: I'll be very honest, and I've said this, and we can talk about it in a moment when we talk about Clarissa Shields. I'm just never that impressed by her. I'm just never that impressed, and the people that she does end up fighting against really aren't that good either.
I think it's easy to say that. I think the people that she's fought against, a lot of them, while a lot of them aren't that good, she has fought some competent opponents. However, women's boxing isn't marketed like MMA, so the MMA has a lot more power behind it than what women's boxing doesn't have. Like, take a look at.
So what you're saying is,
take a look at Ronda Rousey. We thought she was God until she wasn't. But we only had that perspective, and we had the power of the MMA marketing machine behind it. So we're like, okay. This girl is amazing. And you didn't, but, from a casual perspective, that's what we thought. And that's what we think about a lot of the girls that are now fighting Amanda Nunes. They might get a better marketing push than the people that Clarissa Shields is fighting. But can you really tell me that the girl that Amanda Nunes beat the fuck up on Saturday is all that amazing?
Yes. You're talking about Megan Anderson, who is a former Invicta champion. She's one of the best fighters in the world. Yes, I could absolutely say that.
Okay. All right. And she's beat people in front of her. Amanda Nunes was way better than her. Just like Clarissa Shields was way better than.
Again, we're also looking at somebody, and this is it. Just I hate anybody. Nobody with 10 fights can be the greatest of anything. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. And that's just me.
I think part of you can't tell her story without counting those 2 gold medals. I think that's a huge part of why she's able to say she's the GOAT.
Don't nobody care about nobody gold medals, man. And again, everyone's
talking about it with Lomachenko.
Okay, you're right. In boxing, they do. You're right. They do carry a little bit, and you know what? They also do for Henry Cejudo. People like bringing that up as well. But and I give it to him. But at the end of the day. Can you sit here and can you arguably say I don't it's amateur shit. I don't give a fuck.
And I agree to a certain extent. To a certain point, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, it does show an existing history of success. Even
she's not the greatest of all. Dude, she's not better than Ann Wolfe. We can't look at Ann Wolfe's career. She's not better than Layla Ali. When we say those things, we're disrespecting the women that actually have 20, 30, 40, 50 fights that actually built those weight classes on their backs. You know what I'm saying? Who did it in these gyms that nobody was in, and they did what they did so that Clarissa Shields can do what the fuck she can do. And here's the thing: they had some killers back then. There were some killers.
What killers were available? Because as far as I'm concerned, they were doing it up against limited competition as well. And I'm not here to think
they fight each other. And again,
they didn't fight each other because Layla Ali never fought Ann Wolfe.
Different time. They wanted to.
Hold on, you just said they fought each other, and then I just told you they did.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I never said they fought each other.
You didn't say. You said they all fought each other, and I mentioned the 2 greatest women in the era. They did not fight each other.
You're right. Yeah.
Now I will say Clarissa. We'll talk about Clarissa Shields in a little bit. This is more about the UFC side.
I just didn't like the. Hey man, don't talk about MMA and disrespect MMA. All right, bro.
I didn't. I was saying the other greatest women in the sport because I'm not even gonna try to make the argument who's better. I'm just gonna say the other greatest women in the sport.
No, Amanda just say Nunes the greatest combat sports athlete. The greatest women's combat sports athlete of all time is Amanda Nunes.
Is Clarissa Shields.
Not even close.
I'm not going to come off that, but I'm not going to take away anything from Amanda Nunes. From everything that we've seen, she's been amazing, and Saturday was no different. Obviously dominant on the feet, but how she transitioned from like an arm bar to a triangle seamlessly, like Amanda Nunes is fun to watch. She's must see TV. And I mean, she was completely dominating under 2 minutes on Saturday.
Something like that. It was easy. Megan Anderson, as great as she is, she has always struggled, I feel like, at times with some of the mental components of the game. And it seemed like she wasn't ready. It seemed like the moment was too big for her. And she was a deer in headlights from the word go. You know what I mean?
Caught the same disease from the guy that Canelo fought.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, it was terrible. They just froze up. They just froze up. And I think I absolutely believe that she was better than her performance. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. Amanda Nunes is the best I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. It's between her and Valentina Shevchenko, and that's it. There's no in between.
Will they make that fight again?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they keep winning. There's nothing else. There's no other fights. They have to fight each other. There's nothing else. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing else to do. Because what's going to end up happening is that they're going to end up having her fight. They'll have Valentina Shevchenko end up. She gets past her win against Jessica Andrade, and let's say Weili Zhang gets past her fight with Rose Namajunas. They'll have the two of them fight. Valentina Shevchenko wins that fight, then she'll fight Amanda Nunes. And then Valentina wins that fight. She is unquestionably the greatest woman of all time.
Really? But it's a tough path to get there. So no giving.
It's correct? a lot of wins to have to get it. But here's the thing: those two women are head and shoulders above everybody else, and it could absolutely happen.
Okay. Well, you know exactly what I want to talk about. You know, if
Hey man, why do you always get me on this Clarissa Shields shit? You love it. You know it works me up. You know it works me up, so you love bringing it up.
We'll have time to get back to Clarissa Shields. We didn't really even get to talk about her. I want to talk about Aljo. You know that's what I want to talk about.
Because if there's any
bias that exists, it is my guy from Long Island, Aljamain Sterling, who was obviously, starting to get he gassed. And I took the time to watch his little 26-minute video on his YouTube channel where he said, he just didn't feel right. He said that's his normal pace. He doesn't sparring constantly hold that pace and is able to hold positions better than he was on Saturday because he was not able to take Jan down at all and just couldn't really defend takedowns either. He just said he didn't feel off. He said maybe it was something with his nutrition, but he does expect to be back better. But aside from him gassing, he was doing well in the fight, and then Peter Yan, just outside of the first round 1.5, he just took over, dominating on the feet. He wasn't necessarily dominating the ground, but he was able to take Sterling down. Correct?
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I guess I viewed it a little bit differently. He wasn't dominant on the feet. I think he was dominated in his takedowns. The fact that he was something like 9 for 10 for something like that, 9 for 10 on his takedown, something ridiculous. That he was absolutely dominated in his control and in his grappling in that regard. He was getting outstruck, but the difference was he absolutely throws harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the power was making a difference. So it wasn't that he was dominant on the feet. It was just he hits harder. Now, one thing I'll say about Aljo is that, dog, I don't know who the hell that was, that fight. He looked nervous. He was falling all over himself. I don't know if it was maybe he didn't feel well. Maybe it was he was sick. And maybe it was he just had butterflies. Holy shit, this is that moment. It looked bad, and yet and still he was able to continue coming forward and even was winning on one of the judges' scorecards at the time of the stoppage.
Now, let's get into what really matters here, because despite what happened in the fight, Aljamain Sterling won the belt via disqualification from a super duper illegal knee. Now, I mean, when I saw that knee, I was like, holy fuck, he just got blasted. Like, there's no way he can continue fighting. Like, there's no way. And I went back and looked at the knee from Jon Jones to Anthony Smith. Like,
it wasn't nowhere near that.
It was not that bad. Like, it was
not
bad.
that bad.
It like, shit, don't knee me in the face. Like, it was bad. But, like, it wasn't as bad as Aljamain Sterling, completely blind. He fucking nailed him with that knee.
Hit that brother in the forehead.
Oh, my God. And so, in the side of his head, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was like right on, like, the kitty corner of his joint.
So Aljo goes down, can't continue, and wins the belt via disqualification.
First champion to ever win a belt via disqualification in UFC history.
Not where you want to be in the history books.
Nah.
But
not
I mean,
the one you want.
Because it's not boxing. Like if this was boxing, something would happen and these guys would go in like different directions for 2.5 years.
Like, never see each other again.
Like they'll just, as if there's not controversy behind the fight, people want to see it again. But because it's MMA and the UFC, they will book an immediate rematch whenever Sterling gets cleared. I would imagine a knockout of sorts like that gets you a little suspension.
I'm assuming.
A 6-month suspension?
I would assume he would get that. I mean, they might not be talking about it yet, but I wouldn't expect that fight to happen any sooner than 6 months from now.
And for the people that are saying that Aljamain was faking,
I would love to get your perspective on this.
I think they're fucking ridiculous. Like, and it's crazy that you're going to turn the victim into the villain just because you're mad your guy lost the belt. Now, if it was something on the borderline, maybe I can understand that energy. But this was blatantly illegal at the top level of the sport. And then, I mean, I'm a fucking casual. I know. I guess it's down. Like I thought it was a knee down, but I guess it's down. Period. Like if a hand is down, you're not.
Yeah, bro. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so
I know you're not supposed to land that knee. Like he threw it, and I was like, that's illegal. You can't do that. I'm a casual. I'm not the UFC champion. He's going to go on a show with Ariel Helwani and say he didn't know the rules because of all the different states. Come on, sir. And then you're going to troll Aljamain Sterling online as if you did something right. Like you deserve to lose the title. Whether he deserved to be champion or the title deserves to be vacant, that's a different conversation. But you definitely deserve to lose it because you gave away the fight that you were likely going to win. That is on you. You are a grown-ass man. You take responsibility for your actions. And you got the Twitter machine working for you. Like, why? If Aljamain Sterling was faking, you shouldn't have given him that opportunity.
You shouldn't have given exactly. And I'll say this, bro. That's why I fuck with you, man. So you my guy, cause you're a real one. You're a real one, and I appreciate that. Because there's a lot of people out here. There's a lot of them. I'm not gonna say no names, but they go out here and act like this is pro wrestling or something. Like he jumped off the top rope and landed a DDT the wrong way or some shit. Fam, this isn't pro wrestling. This is real life. He got kneed in the face. Do you want to know where Peter Yan trains? He trains at a place called Tiger Muay Thai. Do you know where that is? That's in Thailand. That's one of the best Muay Thai gyms in the world. So you mean to tell me a guy that trains at one of the best Muay Thai gyms in the world kneed this man directly in the face and it wouldn't make a difference? Come on, son. And like, open your eyes.
One thing that nobody takes into account is the fatigue. Like, Aljo was clearly spent. So he has less to defend that. So we're not just talking about, him being like normal and taking that knee. He was spent when he took that knee. That only adds on to it being less likely that he's going to be able to continue. Like, to ask him to continue would have been crazy. It would have been ridiculous. And it also shouldn't have been on him.
It absolutely should not have been on him. That was an illegal strike. Automatically, we see what happens, especially we see how long he's down. We're looking at this motherfucker just flipping like a damn trout on the ground, back and forth and shit. And we're just watching it happen, waiting for him. And then we're saying, hey, so after that's happened, can you get back up and fight? And then he has to deal with all the other ramifications, people talking shit. Okay, and here's another thing. TJ Dillashaw, shut the fuck up forever. Like, holy shit. And all the other fighters that are sitting here talking shit about this man, saying he's a cheater and stuff, bro, you literally got caught on EPO. Like, a real cheater. How you gonna call the, like, you have no, just shut up. Your suspension is done. And now you can fucking come back, whoop everybody's ass, earn your fucking belt again. But going on Twitter and talking shit about two dudes that just put on the line and another guy who just took a knee to the fucking grill, bro, y'all need to grow the fuck up, man. And I get it that it's like the Twitter shit sells and motherfuckers want to go out there and cause all this drama. Look, I can't lie. I like the drama. Motherfuckers eat their housewives on. I'm not fucking mad at you. I was just watching Love Island. It is what it fucking is. Okay,
You're taking it too far. Talking about Love
nigga,
Island.
it is what it's a great show. It really is.
I hear amazing things.
I can't stop it.
I'm never gonna
It's
get caught in that
incredible.
hole, but I hear amazing things.
Bro, look, man, I noticed.
I'm not a reality TV nigga.
We need to do a whole nother podcast off of dudes talking about reality TV. It would be fantastic. I'm telling you.
I can't do it. It makes me cringe.
You would say, you know why? Because you're single. You're a single man. You are, and that's okay. Because eventually, there come a point in time, you're gonna sit here. You're gonna say, I'm gonna just watch this because it's compromised. The next thing you know, you're gonna be the one asking to put it on. Hey, babe. You gotta watch this episode, right?
You're right. You're right.
That's what's gonna happen.
You're
I'm just keeping it in the being with
You're
you, brother, because you're my brother and I love you.
I mean, I always have to have those like any woman I deal with. I always have to have those compromises because naturally I watch so much combat sports. So like, if I'm gonna force a woman to watch a ridiculous amount of combat sports, you definitely gonna have to take that L somewhere else. Say yes to the dress.
Nick, another one. Good damn show. All right, man. Look,
the only other thing I wanted to, Aljo, they'll get a rematch, and I
get a rematch. We'll see it again.
I think Jan fought about as good a fight as he could fight. I think there were some glaring things that probably won't be too difficult for Aljo to improve. His pace, his stamina, whatever nutrition issue he had going into the fight. And potentially that goes along with how he was being taken down and not being able to take Jan down. So I think the improvements are there and very clear to him. And when he was at full health, he was winning that fight on the feet.
Yeah,
he wasn't landing the heavier shots, but he was able to land plenty.
It really did look like he ended up. It was what's it called? Damn, fucking blanking on it again. But he busts his load too early, man. It is what it is. It happens, the moment. Was it the moment? Was it whatever it is? It happens.
Now I know this wasn't as big of a fight, but he probably, as far as the pay-per-view card was concerned,
I know where you're going with this.
Was definitely the most impressive performance. That choke was wild.
You're talking about the Khabib 2.0 Islam Makhachev.
Yes, and he fought Johnny Bravo, as we were calling him. I was like, he was walking to the ring. I'd never seen this guy before. I'm a bit more of a casual, and I was like, why does he look so all-American? Like
Drew Dober. He has a Johnny Bravo name.
Like
Drew Dober.
If the Republicans had like a poster boy, it looked like it'd be that guy. And my boy next to me, also don't watch this shit. He was like, why the fuck is that Johnny Bravo? And like, I can't get it out of my head. And Johnny Bravo got his happy little ass whooped.
Hey, here's the thing. Johnny Bravo's a killer.
Not on that night.
Fucking killer. Like people had this damn near as a pick'em fight. No. That's how good Drew Dober is.
Makhachev, he looked exactly like Khabib. Like it looked like a Khabib fight. He just grabs him and would not let go. And when he was ready, he choked him out from the top. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful because like it took you a half a second. Like the transition between like I'm not choking him, I'm in top control, and I'm now about to put you to sleep, so you have to tap. Like
I love that choke.
You didn't know it was happening until it was just too late. Like you almost found out by the time he was tapping.
Oh, dude, and you see how Islam.
It was Khabib's strength.
You said, man, he must be bear strong. He is so fucking strong, dude. You see how Johnny Bravo's built. Drew Dober's bodied up. He's strong as shit, and he's a
shredded.
solid dude, monster. Dude, he ran through him. It was like, oh, this is cute. And then I don't know if you heard him after the fight. You know who he asked for, right?
Ferguson?
He asked for Tony Ferguson. And do you want to know why he asked for Tony Ferguson?
Handle Khabib's light work.
Dog, and he literally said that. He is like, you don't deserve Khabib. I show you. You not ready for Khabib. I'm not Khabib. And I'm going to do this to you. I was like, yeah, damn.
I think
like, dude, it is going to be a rough one.
Someone else must have called him out on Twitter or something. He said, like, don't worry, Khabib. And he must have called out Khabib on Twitter. He said, like, if Khabib wants to come out, I think he replied and said, don't worry, I'll keep him retired. I'm like, damn. But I mean, the way he performed on Saturday, you want to see him at the top right now. He's another guy, still probably has a couple fights before he is in that. No?
Nope. You don't nobody in that top 5 want him. You give him the belt now. Him right, I put it like this. He's the guy. I put it like, he's the best lightweight in the world. I'll say it right here. I'm saying it. There's not a lightweight in the UFC better than Islam Makhachev. There isn't. Dude, what I saw, that's you lightweights have a really fun time. You guys got about a year. Go ahead, get your money, Dustin Poirier and Conor. Go ahead, act like y'all playing hopscotch with the belt. Justin Gaethje and the rest of y'all. It's over.
I mean, from what I saw, definitely.
It's over.
It's just when they let it happen. Like and like you said, because of where he's ranked, he's just gonna have to take that extra fight, even though he's ready now.
I don't think so this will end up happening to him. Everybody knows he's so good, and they want that market. You know what I'm saying? The UFC wants that market bad, especially now that they realize Khabib is gone. They saw that you're gonna have Khabib because Khabib is in his corner, so you're gonna have the Khabib presence. It's the Khabib show still.
Yeah.
And now we get to keep that so he's just in the background now. This godlike figure in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can sell that. Like, this is they're gonna give it to him sooner than later.
Khabib has a couple other fighters that he corners, correct?
Oh, they have a team. They got a squad, bro. They got a whole bunch of them little Abraham Lincoln bearded dudes.
Maybe it was Helwani that said, like, a couple more wins like this, and Khabib could possibly be in the Trainer of the Year conversation.
Yes.
Could that be a thing?
Yes, because we forget he also has Usman Nurmagomedov, his other cousin. That is the number 1 prospect in MMA. He actually just got signed with Bellator. He is an absolute savage. And he's on that team. Khabib's his head coach. Dude, those Dagestani dudes got a dynasty cooking.
Yeah, I mean, from the way Makhachev performed, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he just continues to win and dominates. He was functional enough on the feet and just like Khabib, like on the ground. He just grabs you and will not let go. He's
actually really good on the feet. He's a badass kickboxer. He just doesn't need to pull it out.
I have nothing bad to say about that guy.
Dog, I am such a fan of those guys. I love their style. They make grappling so fun.
Yeah.
They make it so much fun.
Grappling that's normally not that fun. Like they make top control.
I like grappling. I think grappling is fun.
I like it too, but like the type of grappling that Jon was doing with like Izzy and most of the 4th and 5th round, that wasn't really that exciting to me. But when you have a guy that's going out there and pulling off amazing chokes like this and like constantly trying to advance his position, I was entertained. But
you mean that how what do they call it? Smash. You like that smash grappling.
Bro, he was just so close to you at all times. Like he didn't give you any room to breathe.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy the way they do it. Those guys are amazing. Like I said, I love watching them. But all in all, the card was entertaining. The first 5 fights were fucking knockouts. It was ridiculous. All in all, good night of fights. Jan got the respect that I believe he actually finally fucking deserves at 38 years old. Which is fucking incredible. He don't have that much time left, and to be able to get to the press like this point in his career, I'm so happy for that dude, man. Izzy, he showed well for himself. He didn't look like a bum. He didn't get blown out. He went up there and had an opportunity to win. He didn't win, but that's fine. He'll be back, and when he does it the next time, when he actually comes back, I believe he'll actually attempt to build his body up just a bit. That's what he'll end up needing to do. Look, you guys know how I feel. I am not a Jon Jones fan, but one thing Jon Jones has done is I've always said a couple things. Jon, as much as I don't like him personally and out of the octagon, I think he is the greatest we've seen. I've been said that, so I always feel like I have to preface myself with that because otherwise people gonna say I'm a fucking hater because I'm not. I think dude is great. But I'll say this. One thing that he has done well is that he's taken a year to build his body up physically to be prepared for the next weight class. I think that's where you got to do it at times, especially when it's big jumps. When you're going up weight classes where it's just 10 pounds or so, going from 55, to here, moving here to here, that's not a big deal.
20 pounds.
Conor going from 45 champ to 55-pound champ, he didn't change anything. But we're talking about a 20 fucking pound. That's a huge jump in weight.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. And again, I have to say this again. Skill-wise, he had still an opportunity to win the fight. Because think about this. And it actually broke down to almost middle. It was like right in the middle. It was in the 5th round. Adesanya actually, the reason that Jan shot in and actually got the takedown is because he was getting rocked on the feet by Adesanya. Because Adesanya was going in to try to knock him out in that 5th round.
He knew he needed it.
You know what I'm saying? So he was going in there for the kill. And Jan, bless his fucking heart and his skill set and the timing. Oh, just such beautiful fucking... Dude, we have to respect Jan's game. His timing on his shots were so beautiful. He literally, he waited for the exact moment where Adesanya opened up and he shot in beautifully. He was able to control him on the ground. Didn't have any real damage, but he was able to control him and get the win. It was a savvy, veteran, workmanlike performance. I fucking loved it. It was a great fight. I loved it.
It'll be difficult to duplicate, but there's a game plan out there.
Oh yeah,
if anybody else wants to try it, it's up to you. But there is a game plan out there.
Good luck. Good luck.
Now,
because this is, yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna move off this. There was another pay-per-view this weekend, and I was a paying customer of that. My girl Claressa Shield, the other greatest woman in combat sports, she was dominant in becoming the undisputed champ at 154 pounds with a unanimous decision. Now, to me, just more of the same. Claressa Shields, more of the same women's boxing. She's dominant. She just looks like I don't really know the woman term of a woman among girls, almost like a man among boys. Like she just looks on a different level. Her speed is just next level. She doesn't have to use her footwork that much. We now know that she can use good head movement against Christina Hammer. She doesn't have to use the head movement that much. She's just much better than her opponents, and she continues to slice through these divisions. Now I know that she is open to going down to 147 for a matchup with Katie Taylor. I know you keep saying, hey, she needs to lose the weight. We were talking about her at 168. We talked about her at 160. Now we're talking about her at 154. She says for the right price, she will go down to 147. So it doesn't matter really who wins the McCaskill. I think Shields beat her already, and McCaskill and Breckus. I don't think it matters who wins because I don't think Breckus wants to fight Shields because she's tried already. So it's not going to be any of them. Katie Taylor would just have to make it to 147, which seems unlikely to me. I think she's getting touched up by big girls at her own weight class, let alone coming up to 147. I just don't see it happening. Right now we'll just have to continue to see Claressa Shields be dominant. I don't think there's any huge challenges in her future. More interested at this point, Savannah Taylor, or whatever, Savannah, that girl on the DAZN side that Eddie Hearn and Claressa Shields beefing about. I think she might be, if I'm correct, the last person to beat Claressa Shields. Potentially.
Any amateurs at some point in time?
Yeah. So, I'm very interested in seeing that fight. They've done a good job building it on Twitter. I think she said she wants a mill for it, but, had a girl money, and she gonna show up and fight. I think she dominates pretty much anyone on the women's side. What we don't know is what we're gonna get from her on the MMA side. Looking forward to that. I think it's an exciting transition. She's better equipped than a CM Punk, so we'll see how she does.
She's a real athlete. He wasn't. That's not a fair comparison.
She's better equipped is what I'm saying. But yes, she is a real athlete. She does have a skill set. Obviously, she's going to be able to be dominant if she wants to on the feet, and we'll see what her takedown defense looks like. Because
I will say this. Especially in the PFL right now with her, and here, good win. She looked great, didn't it? Congrats to her. She getting in another knocking out another undisputed weight class. The first person in history, I think, was it
man or woman?
The first man or woman to do it. That's incredible, and that's historic, and that's beautiful. I'm so happy that she was able to go ahead and do that, which is super dope.
All women's pay-per-view as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Especially, Happy International Women's, Day was a couple days ago. But obviously, we obviously always want to give, love and salute here on the Fight Podcast. But dude, I have no complaints about her performance there. I think she did what she had to do. Looked good doing it. In terms of her PFL debut, whoever they put her in front of is not going to be very good. They're not going to put her in there against anybody that's worthy for at least 2 years. I'm just going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, she'll be able to beat people on the feet and stuff. But I will say this. Once she actually starts getting against higher level women, her boxing, the striking is going to get negated. And the reason I say it's going to get negated because she's going to fight women who are just as high caliber as her in striking, but they're kickboxers. So, and kickboxing distance is better equipped than boxing distance. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to get to a point in time with her, and that's the thing. I think she's young. I think she has an amazing skill set, and I'm curious to see how she adapts her game to MMA. It's far too early to see how good she is or isn't going to be. For her to sit there and say that in 2 years I can fight Amanda Nunes, no, it's not going to happen. It's cool to say. It's cool to say, that's what you want to say and everything. But no, in 2 years she wouldn't be ready for that. I mean, in 2 years she wouldn't be ready for Kayla Harrison, much less Amanda Nunes. Yeah. So salute to her. I hope she keeps going out there kicking ass. I hope she really develops because I think she has a lot to grow. I think she does have holes in her game that I would like to see, especially because she's been the bigger girl. And I think she does it in MMA. Some of those holes in her game would have to be addressed. She doesn't have a lot of power. So the fact that she doesn't have a lot of power, and if you watch how she throws punches, she doesn't really throw leverage on a punch. She throws a lot of arm punches. It's a lot of arm punches in there. It's not like she's really transferring her weight, back and forth. So, and again, I'm nitpicking, obviously. She's incredible, right? So, but in terms of power-wise, I think she'll be surprised with the power. I think she'll have great quickness and great hand speed in there. But in terms of power, I don't know how her power is going to translate.
4-ounce gloves helps.
Maybe. I just don't think she hits hard. So, if you don't hit hard, you just don't hit hard.
Yeah, this is true. But I don't think you need to hit that hard on the MMA side. If you hit someone clean on the chin with 4-ounce gloves on, it's not impossible for them to stay up. But you don't have to be as strong as you need to be in boxing to get those knockouts. And while she doesn't with heavier boxing gloves with 4-ounce gloves, we'll see.
Maybe.
I'm not saying
That's
she
what
is.
I'm saying.
I'm not
Maybe.
saying she isn't.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
So now looking forward to this weekend. This is a
so you leading the show today. I appreciate that. I didn't know that's how we was getting down. No, it's cool. Do your thing. I like it.
Now,
please.
You sure? You sure? Okay. So this weekend it is a real boxing fans, a real fans card on DAZN, where they will have CHOCOLATITO, Roman Gonzalez, the great Roman Gonzalez versus the great Juan Francisco Estrada in a rematch. And this fight will be for the super flyweight, for the WBA and the WBC super flyweight titles. I think it'll be at 115 pounds. Little guys in the ring, but their first fight was an absolute war. Where, in my opinion, Chocolatito's power was what carried the day, but there was no shortage of shots taken from Estrada as well. Estrada was definitely landing his sticking and moving, but I think at the end of the day, Chocolatito's power, he didn't put him down. He didn't. It's hard to say whether he was visibly hurt or not, but he seemed more effective with his power. They both fought in burst, and a lot has changed since then. The initial fight went all the way back in. This was in 2000. No, I'm sorry. The initial fight was.
It was a couple years ago. It was
2012.
Okay.
So the initial
fight
was a
minute ago.
Was in 2012. A lot has changed since then. You can debate whether or not Chocolatito has carried his power to the 115 pound pound division. However, I do not think he takes as much punishment as he used to. His head movement has improved dramatically.
Absolutely.
And for me, he's a beauty to watch fight because the way he pairs his head movements and puts punches together in bunches, that's something those small guys, they do really well. They put punches in bunches
super
because
technical.
They're just not
Beautiful
getting knockouts at the same rate. So you can take a little bit more, but you can give a lot more as
Chocolatito
well.
was a good chunk of his career. He was knocking people's heads off.
Not as much of the 115-pound division, but I know two fights ago he took the belt off a guy who was champion, and he was not favored in that fight. Mm-hmm. He's rebuilt himself since those 2 losses to Ronda Rousey, and so I went back and forth on this. I think Estrada will likely be able to duplicate his performance, but if you look at his last fight against Cuadras, he had some trouble.
This was a tough fight. I think he made it much more tough than it needed to be.
And you wonder, okay, was it a tough fight? Is he falling off a little bit? Did he overlook him? But that's why we have to fight these fights. I'm going to pick Chocolatito by another razor thin decision. But I mean, the fight can go either way. And I said, a real fans card. How do you see this?
I'm going with Chocolatito. I mean, it's what I've seen from him in the last few years. Like you said, how he has really evolved his game, and you don't really see boxers, especially older in their game, really evolving that way. His head movement looks great. He still has power, and he's a lot of fun to watch. I think he's going to get I think this fight's going to be a war. I think this is going to be a close fight, but I do have Chocolatito winning this fight.
Gonna be tough.
It'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be a fun fight to watch. The other fight on that card is Chicago's own Jessica McCaskill versus Cecilia Brækhus in the rematch for all the belts.
Close fight.
All the belts.
All the belts.
At the 147-pound women's division. Now, this was a very, very, very close fight. It was the aggression of McCaskill versus the clean punching of Brækhus. You can almost imagine Mayweather versus Maidana in a way, where McCaskill was definitely landing some shots, but I felt throughout the fight that Brækhus was landing the cleaner, more effective shots. McCaskill was able to get that decision over Brækhus. She had long reigned as an undisputed champ, so now that sets us up for a rematch this Saturday for all the belts. Even after Brækhus had considered retirement for a little bit, she decided she wants to come back. She wants to get her belts back. I fully respect that. And I mean, you saw the adjustments in the first fight. In my opinion, as boxing goes, you typically give the rematch to the boxer. That's just the way it goes. We've seen it happen before, and the adjustments that Cecilia Brækhus is going to be able to make, I just don't think that McCaskill is going to be able to make enough adjustments to overcome that, especially seeing how Brækhus was started to land more consistently down the stretch. Now, I know McCaskill has some power. Those opportunities will be there, but I just don't see her getting the knockout. I'm picking Brækhus by decision.
I'm going with McCaskill. I think her power is going to get her this time. I think she learned a lot from her last time. I know last time I spoke to him, there had some issues and stuff, energy management, but I see that, going back to it. I think the body is going to really come to fruition. And more importantly, I'm not picking against Chicago. So there's that.
I respect it. I respect it. You got to do that sometimes. You got to do that.
It is what it is.
This weekend, we also have David Benavidez versus a Ronald Ellis, VE. Come on now. But David Benavidez, the big 168-pounder who lost his WBC title on the scales, the title that Canelo now has. David Benavidez is
what a doof.
Okay, so
what David Benavidez.
There is shoulder programming out for David Benavidez' upcoming fight. I'll get the name of it right now, but I like what he's doing. He's taking his career into his own hands. He's promoting himself, and he's giving people a chance to hear his side of the story. And once you hear his side of the story in terms of how he lost his belt, it's a little bit more understandable. The issue is it's the second time you've lost your belt, and it hasn't been in the ring. The first time you tested positive for coke, cool, have some
he likes
fun,
to party, whatever.
But now you lost your belt in the scales, and you already be looking a little pudgy in the ring. I understand that's just the body type for some boxers. However, he fought his last fight. Let's see if I pulled it up here. He fought his last fight when? Like it was early on in the pandemic. So they didn't really have a lot of protocols set. They were still testing everything out. And so fighters would get there for fight week and they wouldn't have access to the normal facilities that they previously were used to. Things like a normal access to the sauna, gyms, treadmills. The access just wasn't the same. But shit, everybody else around you is still finding a way to make weight. However, I mean, not having those amenities during fight week for a guy like David Benavidez, if he
I don't think
is used to
it's an excuse.
It's not. But if he's used to cutting weight a certain way, it does explain the story.
You're a
Correct.
professional. Your
Correct.
job is to make weight. There's no excuse. You've done it however many times before. It's bullshit. It's asinine. It's an excuse. You know how I feel about people who miss weight. I don't care.
They were told they'd have access to these facilities. Now, I'm not saying like
you gotta figure it out, man. You gotta figure it out. It's your job. And what's these guys' purses? They got bank.
And I'm
you
not
walk around here, go to another hotel.
And I'm not excusing that. I mean, he shouldn't have lost his belt, but it does at least give you some insight to where he missed weight bad. Like it was something like 2-3 pounds. It does give you a little bit more insight, and you don't think that he was just like sitting around like not even preparing for the fight. However, he understands that he's put himself in this position and he's ready to do the work, take the lesser purses, take the fights that he has to take to get another shot at his belt. You know, he's an exciting fighter, fun to watch.
Talented.
Been boxing pretty much all his life. Been in there with some. I didn't realize the high level of opponents he's been in there with as far as sparring is concerned. Yeah. Guys from like Triple G. I'm not sure if he's been in there with Canelo.
Triple G, Avian Sean
listed
Porter.
A ton of names. He listed a ton of names that he had been in there with, and so it'll be interesting. He'll probably get the knockout on Saturday. He's fun to watch, but what I want to know is what happens next. So now, the fight that we all wanted to see was Plant versus Benavidez. That's essentially off the table because Plant isn't going to risk himself before the Canelo fight, which is going to be scheduled for September. Yep. So Benavidez is sort of trapped in a box. There is people that he could take on at the 168-pound division, but like...
So who would you say? Who for you, what would be the best options for him in that weight class? Because here's the thing. That weight class has some firepower. It's a fun weight class, but it is still top heavy. Who can he actually fight in that weight class right now?
Oh man, I mean, let me give you the sensible answers. Okay. The sensible answers, always a sensible answer. Whenever somebody needs a fight, you don't know where to fight, you can throw out David Lemieux's name. This is always. You throw out David.
He'll get after it.
Danny Jacobs, also very interesting fight.
I like that fight.
You could even say Callum Smith. You know, if Callum Smith, if his arm
like
recovers.
That fight.
Callum Smith, I think he wants to move up in weight. However, if he decides to come back down to 168, that'd be an interesting fight. I don't think take anything away from Callum Smith from losing to Canelo. Now, non-sensible answers. This is also a name I like to throw out there right now because I just want to know, is he that good? Edgar Berlanga. I just want to know.
Dude, I'm here for it. I say
I mean...
I'm with you. That's a good one.
I know on the MMA side, you don't like how they mess up their toys. Fuck it, mess up a toy. It takes so long to make fights. Mess up a toy. Fuck with a toy
boxing.
You already have.
Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be an amazing fight. Not gonna happen, but in the realm of fantasy matchups, that would be really cool to see. He also had some pretty harsh words for Jermall Charlo in the last episode of his little YouTube show. I mean, he seems to have some animosity there. Jermall Charlo, like the Charlo brothers do, he was talking crazy. He's taking it a little bit personally. He said, I mean, he said he just gotta have to see me. Like, just one of those things where like I'm gonna beat the shit out of him, but just he been talking, so he gotta see me. I feel that because the Charlos do be talking crazy, and they don't necessarily be taking high level fights all the time. So while they're amazing in their own right. I would love to see that fight as well if you talk about a guy moving up to the 168-pound division.
That'd be great. I'm here to see it. I'm here to see that fight.
Not fights that we'd expect this year. I can almost guarantee it. David Benavidez, he might get one of those names. Maybe he gets a Chris Eubank if Chris Eubank.
That's who I was thinking. I was like, he's going to get a Eubank of some sort.
I wouldn't expect him to be in a high level fight for the rest of the year. He's put himself in a box. He had leverage with that belt, but losing that belt really fucking boxes him out because he's dangerous. He's undefeated, but he doesn't have a belt to put up. So no one really wants to fight him because the risk just isn't there. Keep winning. You'll get a mandatory spot somewhere. Eventually you will get into one of those fights. So What else do we have on the menu for today? It's not a lot going on this weekend.
That's it. That's about it. Anything else you want to run down? You got Guru's Corner. We can get some things that you want to run some stuff down real quick.
I can just give you some quick takes next week. Woo, buddy.
Let them know.
Next week we got a matchup. We have a matchup at the welterweight division with our guy Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker. Huge step-up fight for Virgil Ortiz. I'm a big fan of Maurice Hooker myself. That's a war waiting to happen. So I don't think it'll go 12 rounds, but I think while it lasts, I think Maurice Hooker will surprise a few people. I'm not necessarily saying he'll win, but for people who aren't familiar with his work, even when he got knocked out by Jose Ramirez, he was giving as much as he was getting in that fight until he got hit with that punch. He trains up there with Terrence Crawford and Bo Mack and them. Expect a complete version of Maurice Hooker to show up on that night and make a good account of himself. I don't have to pick now, so I'm not, because I really don't know yet. But next week I definitely have a pick. Our boy, once a year, Gary Russell, has signed to fight Ray Vargas, so that will be his one fight for the year. Demetrius Andrade, he'll be fighting he'll be defending his WBO belt on April 17th. Actually, in about like 45 minutes. Little upcoming prospect. You may want to keep your eye on Brandon Lee. He's going to be fighting on...
good prospect.
Yeah, he's going to be fighting on Showtime literally at 10 p.m. Billy Joe Saunders is interesting. We know that Billy Joe Saunders is going to have to show up top tier to have a chance against Canelo Alvarez, and I believe it's May 8th. I'm hearing I don't know about COVID. I'm hearing he's caught the flu. He has not started training camp yet.
Oh, don't. Oh, that's all. I hope those aren't. I hope it's only like the flu and he's back soon.
And he has like terrible. And he has like close to like 30 pounds to lose.
Yeesh.
Not necessarily what you want to hear, but I believe, and I believe he came out and told Chris Mannix that himself. Billy Joe Saunders is also a clown. Like, he could be fucking with us.
Bullshit. Yes,
like
absolutely.
just to build the fight and build storylines. I wouldn't put it past him, but not the things you want to be hearing leading up to that May date. Last but not least, there was a big exciting purse bid a couple weeks ago, all for Teofimo Lopez to get paid $3 million. The Zone's not letting it go that route. They're just going to pay their guy Devin Haney $3 million for his fight on May 15th.
As well they should.
Against Jorge Linares. No need for a purse bid. We're just going to pay our guy.
Pay him.
That has to put a bad taste in Teofimo's mouth. As if the relationship with Top Rank wasn't fractured
because
enough.
Realistically, he got the same amount as Devin. Devin literally just got the same amount.
They got the same amount.
They got the same amount.
They'll probably
a couple dollars more.
He'll end up with a couple dollars more because like Devin Haney still has to pay those whatever fees out of his purse. Right. WBC gonna rape him, whatever.
But still, he got a couple more shillings, man. He'd be alright.
But he's also in the bigger fight.
Exactly.
It's definitely not an easy fight for him.
No, Jorge Linares is a killer. I mean, like we talked about before on the show, man. It really depends on which Jorge is gonna show up. But if he comes at his best, it can be a fight. It can be a legit fucking fight, man. So I'm looking forward to that one. Anything else in closing?
Devin Haney only wins that night if he goes through some adversity. Because any type of dominance from Devin Haney, they're just going to say...
people going to hate on him. They're going to hate on
himself.
Yeah,
so he really only wins if he goes through some adversity or gets like an early... highlight reel knockout, which isn't really his game. It's not impossible, just not really his game.
But he's done it before, so he can have. I mean, not at this high level.
The perfect punch, like for that beautiful highlight, like
beautiful,
perfect counter punch, full strength, full rotation. Yeah, that's one highlight they run over and over. But he's not a highlight. He's not that type of fighter.
No, he's a defensive guy, like we talked about before. He's more in the Mayweather-esque, the Money Mayweather-esque style. But hey,
boy's getting his money.
I can't wait to see what happens next. A lot of great fights coming up. Brandon, brother, I appreciate you as always. This has been episode 277, all things boxing of the greatest combat sports and culture on the entire universe of fight podcast.
You got it, brother.
Man, I got it, man. I'm Serg Vicente. That's my boy, Camm. Thank you for joining me, man. Absolutely, brother. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time on the show. Peace out.